absolutely glorious afternoon here at one of the most beautiful venues of North America for sports car racing, the Emerald Green Jewel that is Virginia International Raceway. Time for Pirelli GT4 America Sprint X competition, featuring the National Championship and also having the Eastern Regional Championship cars running along with it. Here's a look at the starting lineup, and interesting how this racing unfolded here as we get ready for this second Sprint X race about to unfold. And interesting, we've had some good battles here as this weekend has shaken out, but when things finished up after that first race, we had the NOLA Sport cars having a very, very strong run in the race here. But the qualifying, Trent Hinman in the 77 Park Place Motorsports entry had put that car on the pole position alongside the number 47, Jason Hart, doing a nice job in the NOLA Sport car. And going back through the rest of the field, there's the 04. That is the entry of GMG Racing in the CrowdStrike and Amazon Web Services entry, right alongside one of last year's AM winners, moving up to the Pro-Am category this year, Chris Omocht and Toby Grahovic in the 92 Classic BMW. There's a look at the number 27, the Krug Speed entry of Anthony Girazzi and Elevin Goulart in the Ginetta, alongside the number 91 Reardon Racing Audi of Jeff Burton and Vesko Kozarov. And then the number 51 Team Panos Racing entry of Preston Calvert and Matt Keegan, who's been not exactly 100% healthy this weekend, but still doing a nice job in fighting their way through. And the number 17, that beautiful chrome Porsche 78 Cayman from the Racers Group of Sean Gibbons and Derek DeBoer. There's the 36, well back in the order for a car that has shown some great speed, Andretti Autosports, Jeff Andretti and Carl Thompson in their McLaren. Off to the right there, the number 16, the BMW M4 GT4. That is the Chris Wilson, John Allen car that started on the pole for the first race of the weekend, Cal, with a great qualifying run by Chris Wilson. After the driver exchange, there seemed to be a problem with the car, and it fell down the order a little bit. And then this car, the number 3 from Epic Motorsports, Randy Mueller and James Clay, they were a car that showed some awfully good speed in the first part of that race yesterday. Right up in the hunt throughout. So I think we're going to see an interesting fourth round of the championship here. And again, this is the format, Sprint X, 60 minutes with a mandatory pit stop and a driver change.
Yeah, it was certainly an exciting race here yesterday, and everyone had a chance to tweak on those race cars a little bit, try and take the lessons learned and make their car a little bit sharper. And I think everyone will be trying to work on that pit stop exchange too. A lot of people left some time on the table there. So it's early in the season, everyone getting used to this pit stop format. 71 seconds is the minimum stop time, which should give you plenty of time for essentially what is just a driver change.
Let's take a look at this 3¼ mile, 17-turn track. It's a beauty.
It really is so demanding, and if you make a little mistake here, it typically has high consequences. Begin the lap with that run down into turn 1. Good overtaking zone, then it gets very technical, very tight there for 3 or 4 corners. Then it opens up through the snake into those high-speed S's, then to the lower speed corner on the racetrack, Oak Tree turn. That sets up that acceleration run down the back stretch into that brake zone and into the roller coaster.
And a look here, here's that number 47 NOLA Sport entry. That is Matt Travis and Jason Hart. And there's the number 34, the Murillo Racing entry, the Matt Fosnok, Christian Shimshak, Mercedes AMG, the Fuji-sponsored machine, as the field getting set to go here. And I noticed that the number 77 of Hinman is buried in that pack just a little bit, Cal. Something developed.
Well, maybe they had to do that engine change. You know,
yes.
They had issues yesterday, and if they did do an engine change, that will lose them the grid slot. So we've got a bit of a jumbled grid, and certainly for the NOLA Sport team, they'll take it. Been so strong this year, a tremendous start to their campaign.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and it's been a while since both the National Championship and the Eastern Championship have run, almost 7 weeks since Circuit of the America. And so everybody antsy to get back and after it here. And that NOLA Sport car, as you said, showed really great speed. When the season started, in all honesty, that 718 Cayman had not yet been fully homologated. And it was a little bit of a guess by a very intelligent group of SRO technical delegates to figure out exactly where to slot that car in. and they now have that pretty well dialed. It's gone through the full homologation and testing. But I'll tell you, the car and the team, that just seems to be, no matter what they do this weekend, they're doing it incredibly well. It's that number 34 Murillo team. The setup on their sprint car that Fasnacht has driven as an AM driver to 2 overall races. They've also had a lot of success in that number 34 car here. I'm sure they've transferred that setup a little bit because whatever it was working.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that would be identical, but unfortunately race cars do have their own personalities. Exactly. And sometimes the exact same setup, you put it on the setup pad, try and get everything exactly the same, it doesn't react the same way. But certainly for Shimshak and Fasnacht, they'll be looking for a strong run here again, starting on the outside of the front row now, being promoted up a spot with the 77-volt racing car having to move to the back of the grid.
And that Murillo car, as you pointed out, finished 4th in the AM category yesterday, but fast lap in that AM class and great qualifying run as well by Christian Shimshak to have that car start 3rd. That's a change this year in the Sprint X format, is it's not fast lap from the first race of the doubleheader, establishes the starting lineup. They have their own separate qualifying session for that second driver.
They do, which is exciting, and I think that's the way it should be. There's just so much emphasis put on that first race, and you know, you could get taken out early, not establish a fast race lap. Your first race is disappointing, and then you're starting from the back of the pack for race 2, so I like the change.
And you saw that bright yellow number 77. That is the car that had originally qualified on pole, back in the pack after the work that they had to do on it here. Brynjolfsson and Trent Hinman in that Park Place Volt Lighting car right in front of that white Ginetta from Krug-Speed. And here is the rest of the field as they are working through the pack. And the number 22, want to mention that, the PrecisionDrivingTech.com, BMW M4 GT4 of Marco Radisek and Carl Whitmer. Marco's been very, very busy this weekend. Marco running the GT4, Pirelli GT4 America Sprint category in the AM class. And after the second race of them for the weekend, 5th race in the championship, we think he may have taken the lead in that AM category in the points. So a good weekend for the Serbian that spends a lot of time here in the Sarasota area of Florida.
He's got to be exhausted. He's on his 6th race of the weekend, but he's a fit fella, so I'm sure he's up to the task, and certainly he's well dialed in for the weekend.
Yeah, and that black BMW, he's not only a very talented driver, he is a truly philanthropic person, spends a lot of time doing charity work, helping out those less fortunate. Kind of shows when you look at the side of the car. We've got the regular sponsors, but then above the rear, on the rear fenders, above the rear tires on each side, it just says love. And that's truly what Marco and his family is all about.
Everyone's settling in here. Just one formation lap before we'll see the green flag. Perfect racing conditions. Some good Pirelli rubber has been laid down here with the amount of racing we've had over the last couple of days. Had some rain here on Friday afternoon, a little bit more last night, but the track's in really good shape.
All right, our official safety and pace vehicle from the folks at Honda Acura, the Acura NSX, has the lights out. Big thanks to Honda and Acura for providing that. Also provide our medical vehicle as well. And there we go, lights are out. So leading him down the hill, Jason Hart, Christian Shimshak, Stephen McAleer.
Off that great win yesterday.
Yeah. They just put on a show. Andrew Davis in that new Porsche Cayman. This is going to be really fun here, the first few laps of this one. Onto the front straight they go. The safety vehicle down into the pits under the control now of Jason Hart. Rule is you better be in line until that green flag flies. Then it's game on for sure. And the field looking really strong, really lined up, following the race director's instructions to a T. And there's the green.
Here they go. Hart jumps to the inside immediately. Shimshak.
Oh, look at that move.
To the outside.
McAleer.
He wants the lead again. Had at the end of yesterday. He wants it early in race 2. Shimshak runs the outside line, Greg.
Trying to ramp it. Can he stay put? That's the question. Well, he's got the inside.
Leafou's right there in the mix as well.
Oh, this is so close, Cal. For a lot of years.
Oh, spin in the middle.
That is the 17 of Derek DeBoer. Covered beautifully.
You have memories from a year ago when he had a massive crash here.
I was just thinking that in a similar area of the track, not the exact same, but yeah, he wrote a blog, and one of his comments, and he said, you got two mindsets. One, you worry about it. Oh boy, I didn't like that. The other hand, well, it happened, it's done, now it's out of your system, go get them. And he said, I'm just going to try and focus on that one.
Watch Hinman there at the back of the screen, trying to make some moves early. Leafou settling in. Shimshak looking really strong once again in that Murillo Racing Mercedes AMG.
Confirmation that the 77, as you said, Cal, had to do an engine change. And fortunately, the rule now isn't necessarily all the way to the back of the field. It's 10 grid spots. So it still allows you a little bit more of a chance.
Yes. I think that's fair enough.
I do too.
There's Hinman, dives down to the inside. Can he make it stick? No.
Well,
think again.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Trent Hinman.
That's on to Jean Capastre-Dubé.
Didn't look like he was far enough alongside, but just rolled off the brake and got the position. Then he clears him on his way.
Second to the Nola Sport Porsches. Yeah, Trent and Brynjolfsson. The second race of the season, second of the races at Circuit of the Americas, ended up, they're running in the East Championship technically, and ended up with an overall win. I think one of the best drives we've seen from Brynjolfsson. Now the attack begins on James Safronis for Trent.
Things settling in. Ties up to pressure. Got some temp. Should be feeling good.
Go back, take a look at the start here, Cal.
Yeah, Makler, big move. Looks to the outside initially, then tucks back in. Shimshak rides around the outside, side by side with Makler as they head towards turn 3, giving each other just enough racing room, but it was tight. Then watch Leafou tries to take advantage on Shimshak, but can't quite make it stick.
And there's the moment for DeBoer. It looks like he may, couldn't tell for sure, but he may have had a little tap from the 33 of Poland. It was just everybody in the same spot here. He's still struggling, isn't he? Feeling something's not right on that car, clearly.
Yeah, just coming out of pit lane here, just trying to feel things out so the team would have done a quick inspection. He certainly doesn't want to be running through those high-speed S's with any problems. Shimshak to the right side of the road. Pretty dramatic move over there off the typical line coming out of that last corner.
Leafouge in that blue and orange BMW running in 4th, then Davis in the all-blue Porsche, and then Safronis in the 04 Audi.
TRG have given Derek DeBoer the all clear, saying the car is fine, so he'll continue and try and get back into a rhythm.
It's the number 36. That's a shame. That is the McLaren from Andretti Autosport, Carl Thompson.
It might have been Jared Andretti led nicely the sprint race today before he cut down a tire. Robin Pemberton there given the signal, I believe, that Carl Thompson is just heading back to the paddock area.
Yep, he didn't even complete a lap, Cal. Right into pit lane, and apparently some serious issue on the car. There's Trent Hinman, and Trent, we know his talent. He's going up against the most experienced driver in now SRO America, previously Pirelli World Challenge history.
Possibly the fastest bronze driver in the world. We're just going to keep tuning on James.
We
he got
have
downgraded to a bronze grading. He's done some racing over in Europe, and he was looking for that new rating, but we're not going to let it go, James. I'm sorry.
No, we can't. James attacking on Andrew Davis. We drop back. Next car in the queue here. Oh, and around the outside, Toby Grahovic puts the move on Jean Capastre-Dubé, and that's for the 8th spot.
Elvin Goulart very much in the mix there. Ginetta is coming alive nicely.
Krug speed entry. Ginetta is a car that doesn't necessarily have that straight line speed, but it's light and agile.
Beautiful drive off of Hogpen. He's able to get the exit speed and tuck to the inside. And it's a drag race down this front stretch. Elevan will just try and keep it right there. Oh, that was tight, little touch, little brush. Both drivers giving it 100%, didn't want to give it up. Capestro Dubé.
Take a look at the overall order here at the bottom of the screen. Report now that Andretti is indeed, that Andretti Autosport McLaren has done some suspension damage.
Did you see the arms and elbows by Elevan there behind the wheel into turn 3? Looked like he was on ice.
Well, you know, when you've got a momentum car like that, you just have to pick it up and carry it, don't you? And Elevan's capable. That's what makes it very exciting whenever he crawls behind the wheel.
Impression at the front. Top 4 all now running nose to tail.
Hinman has gone through on Sofronis. And now he's got a little bit of clear track. See what kind of times he can turn. His Hart feeds it through Oak Tree. Chased by McAleer. McAleer a little wide. Couple of big bounces. Is that an opportunity for Shimshak in that orange and black Mercedes?
Well, I think for these drivers, they got to be thinking about the back end of this race. These should be the quicker or the higher rated drivers starting this race. So for Shimshak, Matt Fastnart's been on fire here this weekend in terms of his pace. So he'll certainly be up on the wheel if he can just hand it to him somewhere close to the front even, not necessarily the lead.
Yeah, of this lead group of 4, certainly Shimshak, when he turns over to Fastnart, isn't going to lose much. And you think, well, that should be game over then, right? No, Jason Hart's turning over to Matt Travis, who has been very fast this year.
They got good equal pace.
Yes, they do. Look at the moment here. Watch the second car.
Just some big bumps once you get out there.
The only thing you can do is just keep your hands straight on that wheel until things settle, right?
Well, there's been some concerns with drivers getting out over those curbs and bringing it back on and cutting that inside shoulder. So if you get out there, you pretty much need to keep it straight and try and get to the end of the curbing.
And there's been some absolutely blunt instruction from race control and the race director. If a car ends up out there and you're alongside him on the inside, you let him come back on. You give him room, because otherwise it could be a big incident with that pit wall and the like, and just cars bouncing across if something breaks. And everybody's been pretty mindful of that, understanding the consequences here at this high consequence track in general. Look at Hinman. He is absolutely flying now.
He is on the attack, has the fastest lap of the race at a 56.1, a few tenths quicker than the leaders as they continue to bob and weave.
He's gone through on Davis as well. He is now 5th.
Yeah, no, he's really flying. Had the pole, lost the pole because of that engine change, so he's on the attack. Needs to get that car up into the front running position to see if he and Alan Brynjolfsson can repeat from last year. Look at this, McAleer pulls the draft, pops that BMW out.
Leia Fouche trying to do the same thing to Shimshak for 3rd.
Nice job there by McAleer, then just fades over to that right side, doesn't open up the lane for Hart to do anything with.
And McAleer has been on his game, hasn't he?
He's one of the best, and
He's
just
solid,
is gradually
yes.
working his way up the ladder. Really talented young driver.
Scotland has a knack, doesn't it, for producing some pretty quick race car drivers.
It's been a few over the years. Other than the McNish was pretty slow, the rest have been pretty good. Joking.
Yeah, I'm just playing out of that. I can already hear the wee Scott getting a little feisty if he's watching the broadcast.
Shimshak looking for a way through. Leia Fouche is just sitting in their shadows.
Hart has defended a little bit, and it's given McAleer a little bit of breathing room, but here comes Hinman. I wonder if that's one of the reasons McAleer was so insistent to get through fast, as I'm sure that classic BMW team was saying, yeah, everybody around you is fast, but Hinman is pushed up.
Yeah, new fast lap for Hinman there. On the last one, continues to drop the hammer. Almost 8 tenths quicker than our leader right now, so he is closing that gap in a hurry.
Now, the one concern we have is Brynjolfsson, who'll be taking over from Hinman when he's on, he's really, really quick. But the question is, in this GT4 Sprint X, no tire changes. So Hinman is flying, but he has to leave Allen some sort of tire to race with, doesn't he?
He sure does, but Trent's smart enough, savvy enough, and has enough experience that he will definitely try and be thinking about that. There's no point just getting to the car to the front and then sacrificing Allen's run to the finish.
That's right. When you pull in the pits and crawl out and your co-driver gets into a steaming, smoking heap of brake boil, blisters on the tires, you're not generally happy campers.
That is correct.
Jason Hart feeling the pressure from Shimshak.
Actually sprinting off a little bit at the front.
Yeah. Well, when you get this kind of a moment here, and you know Hart is defending just a little bit, Shimshak going to try the outside. If you're far enough along, there's good grip out there, you could make it work.
He may be in position. He may have got far enough alongside, but then just squeezes down the power. Can Shimshak get to that inside lane again? Yes, he does. Beautiful driving there by Christian Shimshak.
Yeah, he's got to keep it under control so that Hart doesn't just cut underneath.
Leofouge is looking menacing, but he's got to look in his rear view mirror quickly because Hinman is right there. Hard to miss him with that color.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming up on traffic, Derek DeBoer in this high-speed section. Hard to get out of the way.
And of course, the car that Hart's driving has the same yellow on it, just in highlight form. Catch you out every once in a while, but it's the black nose on that car that sets it apart from this one. The Volt lighting entry, run by Park Place.
McAleer clears DeBoer. DeBoer doing a nice job of just trying to stay out of the leader's way after his pit stop to check out his race car. He's trying to find a place to tuck back in. Hinman's got a run. Really strong run by Hinman over Leofouge onto this back straightaway.
Yeah, Leofouge had to tighten his exit up, didn't he? I mean, DeBoer gave them as much room as he possibly could, but still Leofouge.
BMW just looks like it's got that slight edge in straightaway speed, but the Cayman still its match over the whole lap.
It's a nice sound, isn't it? 4 different cars doing the downshifts. Plummeting down the roller coaster. So this time by was 1.3 for McAleer last time. 0.8. So Shimshak has dialed it up just a little bit here, and Leofouge trying the outside on Hart. He's not close enough this time.
Shimshak has really come alive here. Great pace, closing in on the leader rapidly. Hinman's progress seems to have plateaued a little bit. As you said, he may have taken a lot out of his tires getting to that position. Leofouge, like he's got some pace to burn still. Just being patient there.
Yeah, McAleer and near Shimshak much, much closer. This lead group, a little bit of a buffer back to Sofronis in the 0-4. That is the CrowdStrike Amazon Web Services Audi from Global Motorsports Group. Sitting in the 6th overall spot. Essentially second of the AM cars. There he comes working around DeBoer. Sounds to me like DeBoer might, is that the flat spot?
Yeah, that little flapping noise. Hinman still has the fastest lap of this race, but suddenly his pace has plateaued a little bit as he's got around this other traffic. Doesn't look like he has the pace down the straightaway of either the BMW or the fellow Cayman. Seems to get gapped a little bit by both those cars. BMW say, okay, maybe that's the car, but when you run an identical Porsche Cayman, they should be able to stay with him.
Well, with Hinman's race savvy, might he be saying at this stage, all right, I need to not be quite as aggressive on the tires. I've got us up into a position where Brynjolfsson could do some fighting here, save a little tire at this point at least. Here comes Leofouge around the outside.
As they go side by side, this is going to allow him to really close in on these two guys through the apex of one. I think he may be spot on in terms of him, and maybe he's just got to that point. Okay, get the car up towards the sharp end, get it with the leaders, and then we'll work on strategy. He's got one of the savviest guys in pit lane in Mike Johnson to make that call, try and get Alan out, get the track position, and give him some tires to work with.
Well, Leia Fouge, every time somebody up front runs a little wide, exiting turn 3, he just dives over, thinking about sticking it up the inside into turn 4.
New fast lap for Shimshak. Takes over that mantle from Hinman, so he is closing in on McAleer. It's now around half a second to the leader.
Out of the snakes, snaking through the climbing S's. There's McAleer. And the blue and blue with the white-nosed BMW, and Shimshak in that orange and black Mercedes. Then this little battle.
4 laps to the pit lane opening for the mandatory pit stop.
Leia Fouge moving a little bit earlier than he has in the past. Might be the time for him. Boy, look at that. Ooh, Hinman made up a ton of ground suddenly.
Looks like Leia Fouge just wanted to give it up, realized he was on the left-hand side of the road. He may have a problem because Hinman's all over him.
Yeah.
Leia Fouge is coming to pit lane, I'd have to believe. He felt something, Greg, or something
sure did.
Went rough on him halfway down that straightaway.
No, he's continuing, but something's wrong, clearly.
Yeah. Maybe try to do an electronic reset or something, but is there smoke coming up underneath? Is it just the shadow?
It's just shadow. Huh, interesting.
Definitely something's off song right now.
Oh, and Adam Poland in the doghouse performance Audi having a little bit of an issue down at the exit of the final corner.
Drops a wheel really late there and just goes for a bit of a ride and turns it around.
Nice to have that team back in the series paddock. Of course, he was a front runner for many years in the touring car division.
Good to see Andy Pilgrim back as well.
Yeah, exactly. Picked him up as that's a nice find for a co-driver, isn't it?
It really is. Talk about lean on some experience and point you in the right direction. Up front, Shimshak. Gap seems to be stable, 5/6 every lap. They're settling in, talking to their teams on the radio. Who's going to be the first to blink? There's no real undercut or overcut in terms of the tires. There's no tire change happening here unless you have a problem. So it's all about just execution, looking at potential traffic, trying to gauge with a 71-second start where you would come out. Could you come out in clean air and allow the new fresh driver to just get into a rhythm quickly and really cut some fast laps versus someone else who pits and comes out inside of traffic?
Getting a report from Ryan in the pit lane, the number 19 of Leia Fouge went into, make sure we get this right, preservation mode.
Engine preservation mode, and that's what they'll do if they get any overheating. We've seen some of the cars ducking out of slipstreams here today. It's not really that warm, but they're pretty marginal. Once they hit that temperature zone, the engine will kick in. Nothing you can do with it.
Yeah, and it's a little difficult to write that out of the programming in that ECU, isn't it? Nor would you want to, probably, because it does save you some money.
Yeah, certainly the margins that you're willing to run with a race car would be different to a street car, but even so, a lot of this stuff is homologated, so you can't just play with it too much.
That's true. You probably can't crack the ECU and just start writing your own code for it. Well, you can. Once, as the saying goes. Well, Hinman has just glommed onto the back of Hart.
It's a bright battle there for third, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it?
Hard to tell if they trade paint. Hinman really, it's a slightly later cut at turn 10 and seems to get really good drive off of that corner.
picked up the throttle early there, didn't he?
Yeah, just super smooth, just trying not to overdrive the tires.
Taking a look here, Sophronis has been running some pretty good laps here as of late as well, matching Hinman-Hart battle.
Yeah, mid-56s.
That margin, though, between McAleer, Simsek, and this battle, Hart-Hinman up to almost 6 seconds. Tells you the pace of that BMW and Mercedes up front.
James this morning, he said, I made a little error yesterday. He said, this racetrack just bites you. He said, I was just a little bit off. And he said, I'm going to go off the road. He couldn't believe it. It's the first time I've done that in about 10 years. Okay, getting close now. A couple of laps and we'll be seeing some pit stop action.
Watching here, Sophronis, he's got a little bit of room to Grahovic. Leafouge, well, it's kicked out of limp mode apparently because he just set his personal best. But he's fallen behind Toby Grahovic in the number 92 Classic BMW entry. And Carl Whitmer also quite close in the number 22 PrecisionDrivingTech.com entry. He'll be turning over to Marco Radisek.
That Fastnacht has just got to be licking his chops to the thought of another victory here.
Yeah.
Went and swept the weekend in sprint competition. Got that bump and damage yesterday to the red diffusers. It wasn't their best day in Sprint X, but nonetheless, this car has been really quick. He's been right on top form. Loves this racetrack. And his teammate may be turning him a car over in prime position for another win.
We're about halfway down that long straight, Cal. That BMW of McAleer suddenly just gaps the Merc by about 3-4 lengths. It's like it hits that certain range and it just has it up top, doesn't it?
It does. Seems like Shimshak's a little bit closer, maybe picking up the draft effect. He can hang with him a little bit more. You see him there just way out of the slipstream. I just wonder if some of these cars are getting close to that temperature range. Spoke about Leafouge's BMW hitting that engine preservation mode. We've seen it with Shimshak a couple of times, just really dug over to the other side of the road to get clean air to the front end of that Mercedes.
Well, if your gauges are showing you you're marginal, you're close, you may do that, right? Just because you don't want it to cut into that preservation mode. You saw what happened, and it just lays down on you. You lose a ton of track time.
Certainly would. And that's the last thing you want when you're in the prime position here to maybe have another victory. Hinman, brilliant drive through the fit. Oh, he's cut a tire.
Oh.
Left rear is down.
Well, he was pushing that car pretty hard in the early going, wasn't he?
He was trying to preserve the tires, but Brynjolfsson's going to have at least a fresh left rear on. A bit of disappointment as the pit lane could be open next lap, so how ironic is that? Not that would really save them unless they knew they were having an issue, but it could have been timed out just perfectly if it had been further around this lap with pit lane opening, diving in, doing the driver change, just changing that left rear might not have cost them so badly.
Coming up behind him now is the Calvert Keegan Panos Avezzano GT, a red, white, and blue V8 engine machine.
Keegan just ran his fastest lap of the race, so really impressive of him to come in. First laps in the car were in qualifying yesterday. Just digging deep, trying to get points in the championship. Pit window is open, as you can see. So over the course of the next 10 minutes, all of those competitors need to hit pit lane, get that driver change done.
Generally in the Pro-Am category, they'll keep the higher rated driver in. Generally means the faster driver in a little bit later into the window.
Yeah, so you'd expect McAleer to stay out there towards like 25 minutes to go, or certainly a bit further into this race. But Kenny Murillo, he may be just looking at where, if they cut a 71-second pit stop time to perfection, where would that put Matt Fassnacht in terms of track position and other traffic? Or they could just follow in McAleer and let Matt do his work.
Up through Oak Tree. Nice run out of there by Shimshak.
McAleer was just a little bit wider apex there.
Hinman in.
The good news is they can at least get this driver change done. They don't have to hit pit lane again, so it'll only be one stop for the day, but certainly delayed by getting the car back to pit lane.
Right. Nice job on that tire. They were ready. Adding some fluids to the car as well. Brynjolfsson behind the wheel.
That's master cylinder or engine oil. We talked about an engine change here. That's why they took the grid penalty. But
yeah.
That was the brake master cylinders.
And out he goes.
Obviously in the tail, so it wouldn't be engine oil. So I'm thinking it might be brakes.
I think you're right. About 4 seconds long on that stop from what their minimum is. So, but with a tire change and that, we'll see what Brynjolfsson's able to put together here.
Again, with the tires, they did do a few extra laps with the qualifying. 19 car really slow there.
Yeah, and a nice stop, by the way, for the 91. Jeff Burton in the rear Audi turning over to the very fast Vesko Kozarov and doing that one in 72 seconds, 72.7.
I think Leah Fuge is still in trouble with that Steve Cameron Racing BMW. Next couple of laps is as tight as you'd want to cut it, I think. I don't think you can go 3 more and get in. Don't have to have the pit stop complete, but you have to be on pit lane at least by the time the clock kicks 25 minutes to go.
When Shimshak suddenly has dropped well back of McAleer, he was all over him coming out of Oak Tree.
You're right, that's a big gap that's suddenly been established here. Chef Christian just got caught up in traffic. It's pit lane.
In. And Fassnacht waiting in the wings, getting ready to go. All right, and let's get down to pit lane as Ryan Marine ready to watch this stop unfold.
Well, Matt Fassnacht is ready to jump in. Christian Shimshak did a really good job. We were wondering what might be plaguing this car here on those recent laps, and they did not think it was overheating. They thought it might be electrical. They're just going to send Matt out and run the car and see what happens effectively. This car has some repairs on it from the contact yesterday along the right side. But it's been pretty quick, as we've seen in Christian's hands. I suspect Matt will be quick as well if everything is according to plan. And that's going to be the real question mark when they leave the pit lane, if these electrical gremlins show themselves once again.
You know, as they came in, Ryan, I thought I saw that damage on that right rear corner come loose, and I see some of the SRO officials pointing down there. And indeed, that diffuser has come apart again just a little bit.
That's the area that they got hit yesterday. We're struggling with, so maybe they didn't have all of the new pieces to put fresh stuff on there, just had to patch it back together.
Good stop, 72.8 seconds.
That's ideal. 71 is the min.
See now the exchange for Sofronis. Turning over to CJ Moses, that's running a bit long. Whitmer to Radisic.
McAleer do one more lap. Could potentially do two, but that'd be cutting it awfully tight.
Well, that stop for Sofronis at minute 36. That's taking them right out of the game.
Yeah, and that's leaving 25 seconds on the table to the competitors, so not ideal.
McAleer working his way around CJ Moses as he brings that GMG CrowdStrike Amazon Web Services Audi out of pit lane.
How far will they push it? Will they push it one or two more laps? Two would be really tight to the window.
And Raphael and Associates BMW is working awfully well.
Justin's going to be looking to try and sweep the weekend. It's not going to be easy, though. Fastnut is out there, and he's got a good Mercedes underneath him. He's probably going to be the man to beat. McAleer doing everything he can to give his teammate as much of a buffer as possible.
And Hart is in as well, turning over to Travis. This will be an important stop. Obviously, with the issues that we're seeing for potential issues for that Murillo car.
Yeah, if they can execute, that could put them right back in the game as well.
Eyes are just on that timing clock. There's Kozarov. He's going to be quick. A bit long. Yeah.
76, 5 seconds outside the margin. Not a disaster, but not ideal.
No. Not when you've got fast guys.
There should be plenty of time. I mean, we're seeing GT3 times, you know, right around their minimum of 60 seconds, and they're putting tires and fuel in. So it's just your two drivers coordinating. So McAleer doesn't decide to push it any tighter. I think he may have been able to squeak one more in, but that'd been awfully close. Any delay, any quick spin, and you'd have a penalty. So don't want to cut it too fine.
All right. Ryan is there and ready for the stop.
As is Justin Raphael, who will be jumping in to replace Stephen McAleer. He put in a really good opening stint to take it to the front. Now, Justin had an issue going back to Friday. They had a slight accident. It resulted in some cosmetic damage. The team went to work, and in our victory lane interview yesterday, Justin was quick to give all the credit to this classic BMW team getting this car turned around and ready to go. He's driving with a lot of confidence right now. That's been inspired by the pace of Stephen McAleer. We'll see what he can do when he comes out in front, but I know they'll be thinking about class lead more than overall lead. That will be the interesting balance for them to strike, though, when they get back out on track. The driver change is done. One more tug on the belts for Justin Raphael, and they're just waiting on the clock right now.
Well, that's the good sign, isn't it? When the car is done and it just sits for a couple of seconds. You don't want it to sit for too long, but sits for a couple of seconds. That means you're probably in pretty good shape on that. Let's see.
Ooh, 3/10 too quick. Boy, oh boy.
That is going to be awfully tight. Now, that raises the question. To see if there's any kind of a buffer given or not. If there's not, this is catastrophic, because it's minimum penalty for being a short on your stop as a drive-through, which is 26 seconds plus a little slowing down and accelerating. Hovick turning over to Chris Omak. They were a winner in the AM class last year. Not the quickest of stops either. James Clay in, and he's going to be turning over to Randy Mueller. And Mueller was very quick, but they had some early issues and are second or laps down the order at this stage.
Mueller was dynamite yesterday. He was really fast. It was a great run. see the problem.
Yes. 112, that's good. 110?
11's better.
Better.
110, not better.
Not so much. Kozarov should be a lot of fun to watch here as this final 24 minutes thereabouts concludes. Currently 7th. We'll have to let scoring cycle one more time to really get everybody in the right order here. But Kozarov in that Reardon Racing machine, so fast.
Yeah, he put on quite the show in the early laps yesterday.
There's the number 47. Now in the hands of Matt Travis.
Fastnart's about 10 seconds down the road. Raphael leads, but we're still waiting to hear if they're going to get a penalty. And it is under review, and I don't think they're going to get the margin they're looking for. Drive down pit lane will cost them 26 seconds, and that'll drop them down to the probably about 5th position.
Yeah, and for Travis, remember, on the way into the pits, the number 34, and then in the hands of Shimshak, suddenly slowed. So it may not necessarily be healthy, so Travis needs to stay with it. Omacht, after a great opening stint by Toby Grahovic, they're not out of it here by any stretch, nor is Radisik. Whitmer doing a nice job keeping them right in the hunt.
Radisik, another big points day potentially. Really having a strong season.
Yeah.
So right now, Raphael, I'm not sure if the team will have even given him the information if he was light in terms of that minimum stop time. He's just got to focus, hit his marks, and oh, look at this. Fastnart is off the road. Believe that's on the entry to
A roller coaster, maybe?
I think so, and look at the damage to the left side now. He had damage to the right side earlier.
I wonder if maybe that diffuser just let go. He lost.
That would certainly affect your stability under braking.
Absolutely.
Oof.
Oh boy.
Lost it really early. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Almost a cut and paste of the incident with Dynan and Golinello yesterday.
Absolutely.
Well, this will change things. For Raphael, if he does need to serve a drive-through, you'd want to get it done now.
You bet. And if he can't get this car moving, we might well see a full course caution. So yeah, good point. Get that drive-through done and then benefit from the caution. Yep. Let's see if we can find out any more from Ryan.
Got an update on what was going on with the Murillo Mercedes. So we talked about an electrical issue when Christian Shimshak was in the car that persisted once Matt Fosnot got in. The voltage dropped to the point where the ABS was not functioning, and that's what caused him to go off track. Then he lost power, and that voltage isn't there to actually restart the car. So my understanding is he did not hit anything, but the car is done. They cannot get it refired, guys.
All right, thanks very much, and that makes sense. And when you're expecting ABS and it's not there.
Yeah, your brake pressure needs to be dramatically different. You just pound that brake pedal when you're relying on the ABS, and if he did that, that's why he probably locked things up and looped it like he did. Justin Calvin now behind the wheel of the 51. Ian Kagan came into this weekend with the championship lead, but not been the smoothest of sailing so far.
Well, they've been struggling. Here is Raphael, and you know, you were talking about with the crew of let him know. I wouldn't, you know,
right.
Until you get the confirmation, just let him focus, as you said, right?
Don't want him to be frustrated or distracted by that information when it's not yet confirmed.
There's Travis, who could continues to put down some pretty solid laps consistently. Last few laps been quicker than Justin Raphael.
And they're going to be looking for their 4th win on the year. Class.
Yeah. Radicic sitting up in the 3rd spot right now, with Omacht. He's got around Omacht. And then Kozarov in 5th.
For Travis, he's probably waiting for the news. I'm sure the NOLA Sport team will have alerted him to the fact that the leader may have to serve a penalty.
Right.
Being shy of that minimum stop time.
You know, he's down the order just a little bit here right now. If there were to be a caution, I'm watching that number 16 Auto Technic entry of now in the hands of Chris Wilson.
Safety car.
Oh boy, here it is, because Wilson, I was just he just turned a 55.2, and he is flying. He was just down the order too far, as he sits now in the 8th spot and about a minute behind, minute 12 behind the leaders. Well, boy, this is going to be interesting. Watch this again here. This
Into
high
the back
speed.
straightaway. Just hit the brakes, everything locked up on him without the ABS being activated. Went for a monstrous ride. Fortunately, no one was coming through the roller coaster at the same time. So disappointing end to what has been a brilliant weekend for Matt Fastnut with 2 victories. But this really just resets the table. And for Justin Raphael, the fact that he hadn't been given that information yet about whether he does have to serve a penalty. He'll have the lead right now, but you may be told we're going back to green, but you have to come down pit lane.
That gets back to the interesting question that you posed a little bit earlier today in one of our other broadcasts, where you were asking, wondering about if you think you're going to have the penalty, can you self-execute and do it
before you get the message?
Before you get the message, and just because of this development, right?
Yeah, because if you could get the stop done, get the reset, you're right there. You've lost a few cars in terms of track position, but you're right there with the pack rather than leading, but then having to come in under green flag racing.
And this is the exact scenario that the 2 or 3 teams that have 2 drivers that are both rated bronze, that are the exact same running in the AM category, but one is clearly quicker than the other, when they sort of flip-flop the order.
Yep.
And have the faster guy start the first race and finish the second one. This is what they're thinking about, is if there's a caution and the fast guy's in the car at the end, maybe he can do something rare and special. Well, we might just be seeing that happen. Travis is certainly quick. Radicic is quick, but Kozarov
Esco could be the man.
And Wilson. And I was watching, like I said, been watching Wilson's times, and awfully fast.
He had the pole for yesterday's race, so certainly the pace is there potentially.
Yep. And even though he's a little bit farther down the order because of the spin by his teammate Andy Pilgrim, certainly would fit into that. Unfortunately for Andy Mueller, who you talked about was so fast yesterday, he's down about 6 laps.
He'd have to be really fast.
Yeah. Here's a look at Kozarov and then Reardon Audi.
He's never afraid to get in the mix. So Justin Raphael open for a sweep of the weekend.
Well, we just get word, Cal, that as soon as the track goes green, that car has to do a drive-through.
Quite sure why there's the delay in terms of getting that message sent. I mean, it's pretty black or white. It comes up on the timing screen.
Yep.
And I think it's probably a good question for the teams to ask if they are allowed to serve the penalty. It's pretty much black and white. There's a joker 1 second margin that you have in the GT3 race here today, but it does not apply to GT4, obviously. And if you come up red and you're shy, you know you're going to be coming.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and you're right. You would think, I mean, there's a scoring screen that shows us exactly what's happening, and if it comes up red, drive through. The delay. Here's Matt Fastnut, sort of an ironic smile on his face because he knew he had a fast car. And, you know, you think about the weekend he's had. If this was the worst part of it, and it was, but 2 wins in sprint overall as an AM driver. a solid run in this category yesterday.
And lucky that the ABS happened here where there wasn't any traffic and there is some room compared to like maybe into turn 11.
Yeah, no, very good point. Yeah, while we're under the caution here, go back, take a look at the original start of the race, and McAleer racy from the off, wasn't he?
He
That
really
blue
was.
BMW.
And the Nola Sport car keeps the lead, and then Shimshak is getting really aggressive. McAleer just trims the outside, watch Leah Fouge. He thinks there's an opening as they head down into turn 4. The ball there going for a spin right in the middle of traffic through the high-speed S's, survives that one.
And here's the drag race, and this is where McAleer got to the lead. Leah Fouge trying to pull the same thing on Shimshak, and Shimshak able to cover it. And then this big moment. And as a result, car stops. Fasnacht is out, the day is done, and that brings us to our current full course caution. And about 13 minutes left in this one. We've been talking about the challenges for the Pano Savazano GT pairing of Preston Calvert and in particular Matt Keegan. And Ryan, you found Matt. How's he doing?
Well, let's ask him how he's doing. I know you're just happy to be here. The run on track might not be ideal, but it is something of a victory that you're standing here having just jumped out of the race car because you were in the hospital just a few days ago.
Yeah, I got out Friday morning, went in Tuesday night, and was questionable if I was going to be able to make it. I got discharged around 10 a.m. and got home and changed and went straight to the airport and made it here Friday night. So I'm super happy to be here.
That's a whirlwind for sure. How are you feeling right now?
I feel great. You know, all things considered, laying in bed for 3 days is no fun. But my energy level's good, and made the decision when I got discharged that, you know what, I feel great and I can drive a race car, so I'm going.
So what specifically were your symptoms? What were you dealing with?
So I have this thing called diverticulitis. It's an intestinal issue, and it laid me up for a few days, and it was pretty painful. And they put me on some pretty good meds on Tuesday night, and Wednesday morning I got up and I said, no more of that. Need a clear head because I'm racing this weekend. And told my wife, it's not a conversation. As long as I feel good, we're going. And fortunately, I have a supportive wife and family, and they were like, this is what you love to do. Go do it.
Given the circumstances, scoring points, still staying in the championship hunt, you got to look at this weekend as a pretty big victory considering what it could have been.
For sure, I was really concerned about that. No points is no good. Some points is good. You know, unfortunately, today we actually had a good run, and we had a little issue getting the car restarted after our pit stop. So, fortunately, this yellow that we're under right now is going to help us. And I think we've got the pace. Hopefully, we've got the time, and we can pull something out.
We're happy to see you here and smiling. It's great to have you, and especially considering what it looked like a few days ago.
For sure. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Well, you know, you look at it, Cal. I mean, they're running 5th in the AM class in the national championship right now, and they come in leading over Capestro Dubé and Mike Vess. Yes, they're up in front of them just a little bit. That was very close, only 2 points, but then they had a little bit bigger margin back to John Allen and Chris Wilson. Andretti and Thompson, obviously their issues. They're not going to gain anything. Then Burton and Kozaroff, and Moses and Safronis, they haven't run in this championship until this weekend, so it could still be okay here. And as he said, 5th place points, that's not going to hurt them, that's for sure.
No, certainly damage limitation, but Kozaroff looks like he's on for a big day. He leads the AM class right now, and see if he'll go racy with the front runners as well. Raphael, what a disappointment, because with everyone stacked up, by taking that pit stop, he's going to lose a bundle of positions here.
Yep.
Compared to maybe getting that pit stop drive-through infraction done and then coming out probably in the top 5 is how I looked at it. He probably had enough margin to be in the top 5 and then go race again.
Absolutely. So after he does that drive-through, it should be Travis leading Radisek in second. Omacht would move up to third. Kozaroff and Vess then would end up at the top 5. And then keeping an eye certainly on Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson could make some big moves here. You know he's going to get aggressive.
You know, another team benefiting greatly from this, obviously the 77 after they had that tire issue.
Yep.
They were way down the order, and now Brynjolfsson is in a position where he could do something. We know he's got some speed, and if the car's okay.
He's third currently in his class regarding the East Championship.
And let's not forget a certain Mr. A. Pilgrim, who, prior to 2017, the only other time this series, then the Pirelli World Challenge ran at this venue in 2010, and Andy won the second of the GT sprint races that day in the K-Pax Volvo. Said it was kind of ironic, you know, it was late in the year. It was, I think, the season finale that year, and he said, the car that he was running, and Randy Popes went on to win the championship that year, and Andy didn't have a win, and he said just something, I just couldn't find speed in the car. And after the first race, they said, well, you know what, we have our spare car here that we use as the media ride car and everything with full race prep. And they said, you want to just try that one out? He said, yeah. So went out, the car was magic, won the thing. He said it just felt right. All right, here we go. Now, the interesting thing is, I don't believe Rafael is allowed to duck into the pits here. He's got to take the green, complete a lap, then go in.
Yes. So you would think that Travis would have been alerted to the fact that he's got to do that. Don't get too racy with him. Radisik, is he going to go for the overall win? Or is he going to be happy with Rafael hitting pit lane eventually?
All right, here we go. Safety vehicle, the Acura in. Mr. Rafael bringing the car up. Can't make any pass prior to crossing the control line at start-finish.
Radisik looking pretty racy here, takes it in deep. Rafael opens up the door a little bit. Travis can't push too much. Sure, the team have alerted to him that he's going to be hitting pit lane. Don't get too racy with him, but by the meantime, he can't afford to. Oh, big incident here.
I think. That's in firmly, too, isn't it?
It is, and if we go yellow again, it's almost going to be the point where Rafael cannot serve his penalty. So we're getting a time penalty if we should go yellow once again. Let's hopefully stay racing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're right, it must be Brynjolfsson. Yeah, it is.
And
tough return for the victors from last year.
Absolutely.
Weekend that just would not turn around for them, it seemed.
Nope.
At the pole, lost out with the engine issues from yesterday's first race. And that Hinman had to start 10 places further back on the grid.
Apparently the teams have been told, and you can see the corner workers now throwing the double yellows. The scoring still showing green, but clearly not. He got in there firmly, just knocked all those tires well away, and that means once they have to get the car removed, then they have to replace those tire bundles. I'm not sure, Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work to get done in a short amount of time. Clock is ticking rapidly with just over 5 minutes to go. Let's take a look here. Gets in there and just goes straight.
Never even turned, it seems.
It's like he just didn't have any brakes.
Wow. Yeah.
It wasn't like he was attempted to make a pass or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it was like there was no effort to turn, even.
Yeah.
You wonder if, was it a brake issue or was it a steering issue of
that's
some
a very
sort?
good point. Just really couldn't get the car turned at all.
Good news is, hops out. Tires doing their job, certainly keeping them away from that second. And I love the idea you put that double row of tires with a big gap behind it to the barrier, and it does its job nicely.
Yeah, that was a bizarre one.
Yes. Boy, and you got to think that the guys that are just going to be absolutely seething inside their helmets is Kozaroff and Wilson.
Yeah.
Who really thought, well, maybe we can do something here at the end.
For Raphael, he's not going to be able to serve that penalty, so I think that'll come in the form of a time penalty after the race. I'm sure there's going to be a bit of confusion come victory lane.
Well, and that, I think when it's what I heard here, it's a 26-second drive-through penalty, but you have to slow down and accelerate as you come out, so they round it up to a 30-second.
As compressed as this field is, that'll just plummet him down the order.
Yep.
Very unfortunate for an infraction of just 3 or 4 tenths.
All right, let's get down to the pit lane with an update from Ryan.
So let's talk to Mike Johnson. He's the team manager for Alan Brynjolfsson. First of all, Alan's all right?
Yeah, Alan's fine. I mean, he got out of the car, said, you know, I just had a brake failure. And he's fine, jumped out of the car. I think he's going to be okay.
Was there any warning that this was coming?
We knew, obviously, last night we did a motor change. We had a really long night, and we had a little loss of brake power throughout this race. With 3 laps to go, we're like, all right, we can make it. We'll be fine. You know, we checked it at that first stop, but obviously we didn't.
All right. Well, thank you for the time. Sorry to see it in this way.
Thank you.
No, you eyeballed it during that stop. I saw they were putting fluids in, and you thought that it might be into the master cylinder.
Yeah.
Yep. So, well, with that penalty, it'd be Travis and Hart. Now we're just sort of speculating here a little bit. Would get the win, and second overall, but the win in importantly for them in the Eastern Series Pro-Am category would be Radisick and Whitmer.
That's right. Going to be some happy faces up there.
Yeah. Maybe that's his strategy. If you run enough races, it's going to come to you. Because they came in here 3rd in the points and 11 behind McAleer and Raphael. I came in 2nd, and Brynjolfsson and Hinman were leading. And this is after the first round, or the first race yesterday, 3rd round of the championship. So, boy, that's going to close up significantly, if that is indeed how it plays out. Kozarov will get the win in the AM category. With Wilson 2nd.
That could have been a good little battle.
Yeah, it
between Wilson and
certainly
Kozarov.
I think so. Would have been fun to watch. And the East Am win would go to the number 69 of Collingwood and TC. And yep, basically a minute left to go. So as they come down the hill here, one would certainly expect that we will see
maybe an early checker or no.
Early checker possibly, or a white flag at least. See what they decide to do. I could see some people saying, no, don't early checker just in case, you know.
Yeah, but you can't get back around to.
No, but if a car has a failure, whatever, you know,
good point.
you just end up moving up. No, they did early checker. Shows what I know.
It's so much time to think about every possibility there, Greg.
Yep. And in the end, I had a 50-50 shot and blew it. So, again, and scoring is already applying that 30-second penalty there.
Wow.
And it's dropped him down to 11th at this stage.
Oof, that's going to hurt.
And still 3rd in class in the GT4 East Pro. But so Travis gets the overall win along with Jason Hart for NOLA Sport, continuing their great start to this season. In the national championship in the Pro-Am class, 2nd overall, winning in the East Pro-Am category, the 22. PrecisionDrivingTech.com BMW of Radisick and Whitmer. Omacht and Grahovic will end up 2nd, Third overall, second in the Pro-Am category for the National Championship. Winning the AM category in the National Series, Kozaroff and Reardon. All right, well, let's take a look here now. You can see for your own. Again, if you are highlighted in red, that is an amateur category card. This does not split out National and Eastern, but gives you an idea just how things played out. And there you see 11th, Raphael and McAleer.
Yeah, and I think if they'd been able to serve that penalty prior to everything going upside down with the yellow, I think that'd have probably been up in the top 5. So just circumstantial there.
Yeah, just unfortunate. I think that might be, as you said, an argument for the teams to say, look, if we know it's coming,
better serve it.
Serve it.
Strategize around it.
Exactly. Looking at some of the other movers here, Wilson and Allen. That car was really quick yesterday. Had a problem late in the race. Lost a fair amount of speed and time. So field will be coming around and into pit lane. Ryan getting ready to check in with our winners. And yeah, still working on the extraction here, and it's one of the few areas where there is a little bit of gravel here, but it's pretty hard packing with all the rain. It didn't do much in terms of abating speed here. So 4th round of the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint X National and Eastern Championships. Concluding, field coming in. Having a look here, the Quinn and Leafouge entry, even with their issues, Cal, will get 3rd in the Pro-Am National Championship. That's important in terms of points.
Some good points days for a number of the competitors here, and sad to see the weekend end under caution like this. It's been a tough one. This racetrack certainly is challenging and can trip up some of the competitors, and with these cars and some of the electronic aids, we talked about fast not having such a fast race car, but when they don't suddenly have everything working, it can catch you out in a big way.
Well, that's the great thing about technology, isn't it? It's fantastic until it fails. And you have to have those workarounds and the like that make things happen. But one thing that we have certainly seen here, this has been a fraught weekend in terms of schedule, activity, busy and the like. But in the end, we've seen some absolutely superb racing as well.
Yeah, it's just such a fun racetrack to drive, very demanding, and high-speed sections. Just really provides good opportunity to go side by side in a number of the areas of the racetrack. And drivers get pretty innovative in thinking of new ways to skin the cat here.
Just that shot just gives you, along with the challenges of the track, it's just located in an absolutely beautiful part of the country. Joy to come to. Can't really see them from here, but on the outside of the track at those climbing S's, we've talked about it before, the villas. If they will often rent them out if you're interested in coming here and spending a weekend and you've got a group of people, check in with the folks here and see if the villas are available for rent. You don't need to worry about finding a grandstand seat. You've got a grand seat out on that deck. Talk a little bit about the rest of the schedule here for the Sprint X next round of the championship, mid-May, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, just outside of Toronto, Ontario, and what a venue that is. Now, this place is long and fast, but that's a speed bowl up there in Canada. And the next race will move to early June. Sprint X in the Western Regional Series out at Sonoma. Then we'll see Sprint X West again at Portland International Raceway. Then the Sprint X and Sprint X East, Watkins Glen, Road America. That's just a litany of amazing tracks we're talking about there.
Oh, some old school stuff.
It's going to be
We've
brilliant.
got a new venue at Vegas. That's going to be an exciting finale. Everyone will celebrate the championship season at the end of that weekend, so lots to look forward to.
What's the thing? How you finish in Vegas stays in Vegas? Is that it? No, that's not it. Yeah, look at Marco Radicic back there. He got out of the car absolutely elated with a win. Big weekend for that team.
Travis and Hart undefeated, right?
Yeah, they are just tearing it up, no question. Just confirming that here. Let's do that, though. Yeah. 4 straight wins. There's Cavana Cup money that they're looking at here, isn't there?
Yeah, and they've had some poles in there.
Yes, they have.
Not sure about fast laps, but certainly in terms of the sweeps, they're getting the job done.
They are indeed. Are we getting interviews for Ryan or anything? I'm not sure what you want us to be doing here, folks. All right, well, it's going to, obviously, with this early checker and the issues with scoring, things are just on a little bit of a pause. We're going to take one as well, but we'll be right here, and when things get cleared up and when we get teams and drivers over into Victory Circle, we'll be back with you.
Thank you, guys. I know I sent the note last night, but I wanted to thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. It was, I will promise you, knowing the value of Greg's promises, that we will. All right, will you pop me out? Cut the mics until we are ready? How we got through it. Thank you.
And now the podium presentations will begin. The cars making their way in, confirming that the overall winner and the National Pro-Am Sprint X winner, right there, Matt Travis and Jason Hart. And what a run they put together. Ryan Marine is ready and waiting, Ryan.
Well, Matt, you had to wait on that one for quite a while until it was made official. I'm sure you were ready to drop the hammer on your celebration, but better late than never, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. You know, I hate to win them that way. Obviously a confusing situation at the end, but thankful for the result. Jason drove a great first stint. I just went out and did my best in between the cautions, and man, thrilled to bring home an overall win for NOLA Sport.
Jason, the start to the season that you guys have had, 4 for 4, doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, it's pretty much a fantastic way to start the season. We'll see if we can carry it. We understand that there's some luck involved in that and a lot of hard work too. So, you know, we're just going to keep our head down, keep going through the data, keep going through the video, keep working on setup. You know, our engineers strategizing the races, and just keep going through our playbook and just hit our marks, and hopefully we can come out the end on top.
Well done. We'll see you in Canada.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, well, hey, wow, what a start, as you said. 4 straight wins in 4 races. Take a look now at the race results. Again, if you're highlighted in red, that white number, it means that's an AM category car. So a great run for Omacht and the 92 of Grahovic with that finish as well. Radisik and Whitmer, they are second in the overall order, but they win the GT4 East Regional Series Pro-Am round. And fantastic run for them in that PrecisionDrivingTech.com BMW, Ryan.
Start with Marco. Congratulations. Good run today. Second place. How would you assess the day for you and your co-driver overall?
You know, the whole week has been amazing, and obviously today's race, we go to make sure we maximize points, and obviously P1 in class is great. I was a little sad that the last caution came out. I was trying to go for the overall win. We had a little bit of a good chance, but what a great weekend, and awesome co-driving with Carl. He did a great first stint, and everything went well, and we're just making sure that we are there for the whole season and keep stacking on points.
Carl, how has this team progressed from the start of the season until now?
They've progressed really well. I mean, the package they bring is small, but it's very well run and professional, so they execute every plan that we put in place, and great job to the team, great job to BMW Motorsports, and Marco did one heck of a job out there.
Congratulations, guys. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, busy weekend for Marco, running 6 races, 3 different classes, as he has that Serbian flag on display. And good look there at the Lodge at VIR. Nice place to stay if you can't make it into the villas we talked about earlier. But yeah, just a superb job for Marco Radisik. And he talked about maximizing points. Well, in the sprint category, he may well be leaving here in the lead in the AM points in sprint, and close the margin up noticeably here in the GT4 East Pro-Am category in that pairing with, again, the very quick driver in Carl Whitmer doing an absolutely great job. And then the National AM category winner would be the Kozarov number 91 entry that they put in a very strong run, sharing with Jeff Reardon. And again, had it not been under caution, interesting to see how that would have unfolded with a couple of other very fast AM drivers in the mix as well. But let's take a look at some of the highlights. And at the off, that NOLA Sport car, great start, but McAleer forcing his way up quickly into the second spot. Shimshak trying to ramp the outside in the orange Mercedes. Gets down to the inside here, or so it looked, but McAleer just carrying that momentum around the outside. Greg Leafouche dives way down to make it 3 abreast, but checks up. And then a little bit further into the race, McAleer able to use the draft and a good motor in that BMW to drive around and pick up the point and take the lead at that point. And then Matt Fasnacht, after a massive ABS failure due to an electronics issue, had that big slide. Unfortunately, nobody there on that part of the track that he came across at a serious rate of speed. However, the car was done at that point. And then back to racing here, and a big stack up. But the bigger story here, as this field on this restart getting ready to go, Raphael covered it, but watch the car, the yellow one just off to the left, absolutely unabated. They had a brake failure in that car. Alan Brynjolfsson into the tires, and the tires doing their job. As you can see, the barrier, the first set of tires, and giving that opportunity. So at the end, even though the 29 first on the line, a 30-second drive-through equivalent penalty, giving the win to Travis and Hart. And here's a look at Kozaroff and Reardon. Again, ending up winning in the AM category in their 91 Reardon Racing Burton Lumber entry. Kozaroff and Jeff Burton there. And as you can see, Vesco always sporting a grand look and doing a superb job down there. Having a great run today. And there is the slew of trophies that are going to be presented here. Again, remember, you've got the categories from the National Sprint X Championship, Pro and Am, and then you've got categories for the Eastern Regional Championship. Shared the bill this weekend. And in the Eastern Regional Am category, the winners there would be the number 69, the BGB team. And nice run there for Tom Collingwood and John Teesey in the BGB car. That is the NOLA Sport team in total, the overall winners. And then the drivers from the second car there as well. That's Mike Vess and John Capastro Dubé in the number 46 entry. That finished on the AM podium in the National Sprint X, so a good run for them as Marco comes over, gives them a big congratulations. And here we go, the podium now, about to officially unfold for the track and the fans. The victory circle here. I believe we'll have the track announcer pick things up. As the Pirelli ladies are standing by to help present some trophies, so we'll hang tight until that unfolds.
That's why sometimes when I slow down, all of a sudden there's fire and I slow down. Don't worry, I'm jumping.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to begin our final podium celebration of the weekend for SRO America here at
Well, the podiums are about to begin, and fortunately for everybody, we're actually, sounds like we're going to have Ryan Marine taking you all through the podium.
Series are two classes. We'll start with GT4 Sprint X Am, finishing in third today, driving for NOLA Sport. Please welcome to the podium Mike Vess and John Capestro Dubé. Congratulations, guys. Finishing in second in GT4 Sprint X Am from Auto Technic, John Allen and Chris Wilson.
Mike and JCD.
And your class winners today in GT4 Sprint X Am, driving for Reardon Racing, it's Jeff Burton and Vesco Kozaroff. Congratulations, guys. Well done. Get those trophies up over your heads for the photos, please. Tremendous job by all of our podium finishers in GT4 Sprint X Am today. And you can set those trophies down. We've got some champagne for you to celebrate with. Perfect way to close out the weekend. Well done.
Did I do get wet? I'm shocked.
I think you slid in under the tab. We're all good to go. All right, congratulations, GT4 Sprint X Am podium finishers Mike Vess and John Capestro Dubé, John Allen and Chris Wilson, and Jeff Burton and Vesco Kozaroff. Next, we'll take our GT4 Sprint X Pro Am finishers, podium finishers. We'll start with third. For Stephen Cameron Racing, it's Sean Quinlan and Greg Leofouge.
Don't feel that small.
Also driving a BMW for Classic BMW, second in GT4 Sprint X Pro-Am, Chris Omot and Tommy Rahovic. your class and overall winners in GT4 Sprint X Pro-Am for Nola Sport driving a Porsche Cayman. Give it up for Matt Travis and Jason Hartz. Perfect on the year, 4 wins in class for that duo. Well done. Take your step atop the podium. Guys, get those trophies up over your heads. Smile for the cameras.
Yeah, they have some of those, I think.
And you can set the trophies down for a moment. Girls, don't go too far. Actually, yes, you're right. I'm wrong. You're right. We'll switch the hats out here. We'll go from the Pirelli hats to the VP Racing Fuels. Thanks to Pirelli and VP for their support of the series. One more time with the trophies, guys. Lift them up. Up over your heads, please. Well done. And we'll go ahead and put those Pirelli hats back on in time for the champagne spray. Congratulations to our GT4 Sprint X Pro-Am Podium. Finishing in third, Sean Quinlan and Greg Leofru. Second to Chris Omach and Toby Grahovic. And your race winners are Matt Travis and Jason Parks.
So the podium's come to a close, as does our weekend here at Virginia International Raceway for the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint X and Eastern Regional Championships. Next round of the championships, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in mid-May for the Sprint X and the Sprint X East Series. Sure hope you join us from there. For Calvin and for Ryan Marine, I'm Greg Creamer. Thank you so much for joining us from here, Virginia International Raceway.